Welcome again on Igbo History TV. Please help us by subscribing to our channel. Please don't forget to turn on the notification icon for more updates. Today we are going to talk about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
I followed up explaining that there was a genocide against the Biafra people.
Right.
The who were trying, the Igbo people who were trying to form an independent nation of Biafra. They wanted to be separate from the country that the British Empire had imposed on us, which was this country of Nigeria, where they kind of took a bunch of independent nations who don't have anything to do with each other, don't even speak each other's language, don't relate. Many of them were even enemies and warring at the time, smushed them all together and drew these arbitrary lines around them and called them countries and named those countries.
Right.
And then said, now y'all get along and do a country for us and be a union for us. And then go through, contentious, bloody independence processes that never really yield any real independence. You're still part of a commonwealth afterwards.
True.
And you have the eternal meddling in your affairs and the eternal extraction of your resources and the eternal fomenting of divisiveness and infighting in order to be able to control you. This is what an oppressor does, a colonizer does. These are tactics and strategies of dominance.
Right.
We were subjected to that as a larger unit of Nigeria. And then when the Igbo people said, we want our own thing, let's go and do that. Well, it so happened to be that the territory that this new country of Biafra was going to be in included very, very rich oil reserves. And the British were not going to let go of that.
Wow.
And the people that they had put in power, their puppet Nigerian governments weren't going to do that either because they needed it for the Nigerian project.
Right.
And Britain needed it for its own interests and uses. So Great Britain got directly involved in.
I've tried to live a Nigeria designed by Great Britain and handed to us. We have found it difficult to live in that Nigeria. We have fought a civil war, killed so many people, and still we have the same problems reoccurring. Perhaps the time has come to revisit the very foundations.
Nnamdi Okwu Kanu was born on 25th day of September 1967. He is a British Nigerian political activist who advocates for the freedom and independence of Biafra from Nigeria. He is the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, which he founded in 2014. The main aim of IPOB is to restore the freedom and the sovereignty of Biafra, which existed in Nigeria during the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1970. As the director of a United Kingdom registered radio station named Radio Biafra, Kanu propagated Biafran freedom. Kanu was arrested on treason charges in Lagos, Nigeria on 14 October 2015 and was detained for more than a year, despite various court orders that ruled for his release. When in court, Kanu appeared regularly wearing a Jewish prayer shawl and head covering. He said in court that he believes in Judaism and considers himself a Jew, and oftentimes has led his Biafran people to various Jewish prayers and religious observations. On 28 April 2017, Kanu was released from prison on bail. On 10th of September 2017, the Nigerian military invaded his house in order to eliminate him, and he fled for safety. A military onslaught which left 28 able-bodied men including his female cousin, dead, though the Nigerian federal government has been accusing him of jumping bail, not minding the circumstances that led to his sudden disappearance. Nnamdi Kanu created the Eastern Security Network, a regional vigilantee, to curb the Fulani herders' killings in the eastern region. As the Nigerian security forces attempted to quash the ESN, it resulted to massive massacre of innocent Igbo youths and the death of many policemen and military personnel and burning of police stations. Despite the fighting, Kanu maintained that IPOB was interested in a peaceful solution and achieving Biafran independence without violence. In June 2021, Kanu, a British citizen holding a British passport, was abducted, tortured for 8 days by the Kenyan government before extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria by the Nigerian government. Early life. Kanu was born on September 25, 1967 in Isiama Afaraukwu Ibeku Umuahia Abia State, within the claimed territory of the Republic of Biafra, a few months after it has declared its independence from Nigeria. His father, His Royal Majesty Eze Israel Okwu Kanu, JP, and his mother, Ugeze Nnenne Kanu, were Nigerian traditional monarchs. He attended Library Avenue Primary School and went to Government College Umuahia for his secondary school. He studied at the University of Nigeria Nsukka and moved to the UK before graduating. Early activism. Kanu began his activism for the freedom of Biafra as a Radio Biafra director and anchor of Biafran awareness under Ralph Uwazurike, leader of the movement for the Actualization of Sovereign State of Biafra, Massob, who said while in a meeting in Kaduna, Nigeria on June 12, 2004, that he handed over Radio Biafra to Nnamdi Kanu, leader of IPOB, but Kanu disappointed him. Radio Biafra, however, was established by the defunct Biafran government in 1967 with the aim of championing the Biafran cause. Kanu was a relatively obscure figure until 2009 when he started Radio Biafra, a station that called for an independent state for the Igbo people and broadcast to Nigeria from London. In 2014, he founded IPOB. On 5 September 2015, Nnamdi Kanu was a guest speaker at the World Igbo Congress, which was held in Los Angeles, where he told his audience, "We need guns and we need bullets to protect our land from Fulani jihadist movement." Imprisonment. On 18th of October 2015, it was reported that Kanu had been arrested in Lagos State by Nigerian Secret Police, the Department of State Service (DSS). Kanu had told his solicitors that on 14 October 2015, he was arrested by the agents of the Federal Government of Nigeria, the State Security Service (SSS), in his hotel room at the Golden Tulip Essential Hotel in Ikeja, Lagos State. The solicitors in a press briefing said between 14 and 17 October 2015, their client's whereabouts were unknown until 18 October 2015. When the press media broke the news of his arrest and detention by the SSS in Abuja, the news of the arrest of Kanu generated protests across Delta State, Enugu State, Rivers State, Cross River State, Abia State, Imo State, Akwa Ibom State, Bayelsa State, and Anambra State. Detention. On 19 October 2015, it was reported that Nnamdi Kanu had been granted bail after a secret arraignment at Magistrate Court Wuse 2. However, the bail seemed controversial, and there were claims the DSS announced the bail only to calm the angry people of Biafra. Court jurisdiction. The Magistrate Court 1 sitting in Abuja on 18th November 2015 ordered the Department of State Services (DSS) to produce Kanu at the court. On 23 November 2015, however, it was reported the Department of State Services (DSS) obtained a secret court order to detain Nnamdi Kanu. Kanu's lawyer Vincent Obeta, in an interview, said while in court, the prosecutor gave him a document containing a court order permitting the Department of State Services (DSS) to detain Kanu for the next 3 months to conclude what they said was an investigation of terrorism and terrorism financing. Court trial. Kanu was finally arraigned on 23 November 2015 in an Abuja Magistrate Court for the first time for charges of criminal conspiracy, intimidation, and membership of an illegal organization by Nigeria's Department of State Services (DSS). The charges violate Section 97, 97 batch and 397 of Nigeria's Penal Code. Chief Magistrate S. Osman had at the last adjourned date berated the Department of State Services (DSS) over its failure to produce Kanu in court on the 2 consecutive times. The matter came up before the court. Meanwhile, Kanu supporters stormed Nigeria's capital city of Abuja in luxurious buses on a peaceful protest for their leader, who was arraigned by the federal government before the Wuse Zone 2 Magistrate Court, Abuja, on 23 November 2015. Pro-Biafra protesters with placards sang and danced outside the court premises while the hearing proceeded. Protesters wore t-shirts and caps with inscriptions like "Biafra now or never." Buhari release Kanu for us. On Biafra we stand. More protests by IPOB members numbering over 15,000 grounded vehicular movements in the southeastern key economic city of Onitsha and Enugu concurrently. It was the same with over 20,000 protesters in Abia State on the same day. Kanu, through his counsel, filed an application asking the federal authorities to transfer him from the custody of the Department of State Services (DSS) to prison. His lawyer, Obeta, insisted that transferring his client to prison would enable him to have easy access to his legal team. While in court, the Department of State Services (DSS) requested the Wuse Zone 2 Senior Magistrate Court to discontinue the trial of Nnamdi Kanu under Section 108 of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Idaku further said the Department of State Services (DSS) had obtained an order from the Federal High Court, Abuja, dated 10 November, to detain the accused in his custody for 90 days. However, Kanu's lawyer, Obeta, objected to the continued detention of his client. Obeta prayed the court not to discontinue the case because the prosecution did not present any information from the Attorney General of Nigerian Federation, who had the authority to approve such. Obeta also told the court that the DSS violated the order of the court which granted bail that was perfected but not granted, adding that the accused had been in Department of State Services (DSS) custody since he was arrested. The court's magistrate Osman Shaibu, after listening to both counsels, adjourned the matter until 1st December 2015 for ruling. Prison, release and disappearance. On 20 October 2015, Vanguard announced that Kanu had been released on bail. However, media sources supporting the objectives of IPOB called the bail controversial and claimed the DSS announced the bail only to calm the angry people of Biafra. Kanu has finally been released on bail by Justice Binta Nyako for health reasons. Kanu disappeared from public view after his home was raided by the Nigerian Military in December 2017. An event which led to the deaths of 28 IPOB members, not been seen in public for over a year. There was wide-ranging speculations regarding his whereabouts, with members of the IPOB accusing the Buhari government of having abducted him. However, in October 2018, unattributed photographs and videos apparently placing him in Israel were widely circulated on social media, and this was later confirmed by mainstream media. Despite him resurfacing, his exact location and living place continued to remain unclear over the next years. Continued activism. In an interview in June 2017, Kanu demanded bullets and guns from a group of US-based Nigerians for self-defense against the incessant attacks on Igbos by the Fulani herdsmen, which were currently reoccurring in Biafra lands. Kanu's pronounced strategy has been the application of civil disobedience, impressing home his demand for the freedom of his people. In various A broadcasts, Nnamdi Kanu stated how his adoption of Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi's forms of civil disobedience will lead to the restoration of Biafra. In an interview granted to Newsweek, Nnamdi Kanu opined his belief in teachings of Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi. I hope that what we are looking for can be accomplished peacefully. I am an advocate of passive resistance. Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. tried it to very good effect. So why should it not work in our case? Prior to the 2019 presidential election, IPOB had threatened to boycott the election. According to the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, it is a multifaceted approach. It is civil disobedience, passive resistance. It is an expression of our resentment of Nigeria and what it represents. His position on election boycotts was widely criticized by local Nigerian politicians who argued to the contrary. On the eve of the election, Nnamdi Kanu lifted the boycott position and urged Biafrans to participate in the election, after which he described as his condition as signed, sealed and delivered. His shift was received in different quarters as being open to the appeal and opinion of others. Insurgency and second arrest. In December 2020, Kanu announced that IPOB had organized the Eastern Security Network (ESN), which was supposed to defend southeastern Nigerians from bandits and armed Fulani herders. Kanu later gave all the governors of southeast Nigeria 14 days to ban open grazing, threatening to deploy the ESN to enforce a ban if the authorities did not do so. The Nigerian government regarded the formation of a non-state sanctioned paramilitary organization as unacceptable and moved to suppress the group. The situation escalated in January 2021 when the Nigerian military was repaired in an attempt to expel the ESN from Olu, Imo State. Before another offensive was launched, Kanu ordered the ESN to withdraw to the bush, temporarily ending the confrontation. The Nigerian Army and Air Force renewed hostilities on February 18 by launching a military offensive against the ESN. The next day, IPOB declared that as of 18 February, a state of war had existed between Nigeria and Biafra. IPOB and other Biafran separatist groups consequently began to mobilize and fight the security forces across several southern Nigerian states. Despite this, Kanu maintained that IPOB was interested in a non-violent solution of the conflict and that ESN was supposed to fight bandits, not the Nigerian security forces. Regardless, Nigerian authorities designated IPOB as terrorist organization and claimed that Kanu was inciting violence. On June 27, 2021, Kanu, a British citizen holding a British passport, was abducted and tortured for 8 days in Kenya before being extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria by the Nigerian government. Kanu's brother claimed that he had been arrested by the Kenyan police. Kenya High Commissioner Wilfred Machage refuted this claim, stating that Kenyan authorities had not been involved in the arrest and challenged anyone to present evidence proving otherwise. When the BBC attempted to request information from Interpol's office in Abuja, the letter did not answer the calls. Kanu's arrest has sparked anger among Biafran freedom fighters and other Nigerian supporters to his cause. The World Igbo Congress (WIC) declared the arrest illegal abduction and international gangsterism. Following his arrest, questions have been raised over what was termed Kanu's disregard of the Nigerian Constitution to abscond bail in 2017. On the occasion of his arraignment in court on June 29, 2021, Kanu told the presiding judge that the Nigerian military forced him to flee the country in 2017. The trial began in October 2021, with Kanu being accused of terrorism, treason involvement with a banned separatist movement, inciting public violence through radio broadcast, and defamation of Nigerian authorities through broadcast. He pleaded non-guilty in all cases. The proceedings were accompanied by protests and general strikes organized by his supporters. On 19 January 2022, Justice Benson Anya of the Abia State High Court ruled that the 2017 arrest of Kanu was unlawful and an infringement on his human rights, and that his abduction and forceful return to Nigeria was illegal under local and international laws. Anya also ruled that the Nigerian government should pay Kanu a sum of 1 billion naira as a compensation for the violation of his fundamental human rights. Despite this ruling, Kanu remained under arrest and the trial continued as the other charges were still discussed and prosecutors added further charges. Ikemesit Effiong, researcher at a political risk analysis firm, argued that an ultimate conviction of Kanu remained likely, as the political will exists to make an example of a separatist leader who has caused the central government more than its fair share of headaches. The Court of Appeal in Abuja on Thursday, 13th October 2022, declared as unlawful the abduction of the leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, from Kenya to Nigeria, and quashed the entire terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. Incitement and worry about the impact of his release on the 2023 election and doubts about whether the order will be obeyed by the FG or not have triggered the news of the court judgment which favors Kanu. Prosecutors say they will appeal a court's decision to drop terrorism charges against separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu. An appeals court dismissed the charges on Thursday, 13th October, saying a lower court had no authority in the case and that Kanu was illegally extradited from Kenya. Kanu leads the Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB, a group that wants to break away from Nigeria. The government has labeled a terrorist organization. Nigeria's Attorney General Abubakar Malami responded to Thursday's ruling in a statement saying, "The separatist is discharged but not acquitted." Malami said authorities will explore legal steps to revisit the court's decision. He said the court failed to take into account issues that took place before Nnamdi Kanu was extradited to Nigeria from Kenya last year. A three-judge panel of an appeals court Thursday ruled that Kanu's trial was unlawful and said authorities flouted international treaties to abduct the separatist leader. Mazi Nnamdi